even when I was little, when I first thought that there was, something different about me, I was listening to these shoulder angels, and I literally thought, like, there was, like, an angel and a devil, like, on my shoulder, like, in the cartoons, and that they were just helping me, like, decide regular things about my life. And honestly, I thought everybody thought that way. I thought everybody had these, like, voices in their head that were like, oh, do this, no, do this. And finally I started to tell somebody about it, and they were like, not everybody thinks like that.
How many personalities do you have?
I think I have 12, and yeah, I think I have 12.
Welcome to SBSK. Join me as I travel around the world and interview individuals living with a condition to prove no matter how you communicate or what obstacles you face, you're always deserving of love and acceptance. So without hesitation, let's meet today's friend.
See, I have so many questions.
I know, a lot of people do. It's okay.
With all of these personalities, are they you? Are
They're
they
all
not
me.
you?
They're all me.
Okay.
So they were all broken off as a segment of my own personality. So they're all creating one big personality.
How hard are you trying right now just to cope and have this typical conversation?
Hard. There's definitely like at least 6 of the people can't be quiet right now, and they just want to be like, oh, say this, say this. We want to be heard too.
Do you consider yourself a singular or a plural?
I talk in a plural a lot. Like when I'm in therapy, I do talk in a plural. But when I'm with other people, I try to talk singular. But if I was honest, probably like a plural. Yeah, because there's definitely a lot of different voices that I consider, equally valid.
When you first explain that to somebody, what do you hope goes through their mind?
I hope just that they don't think of me as too different than themselves. Everybody has their own way that their mind works, and mine is just very interesting.
Do you see the DID as part of Lauren's personality, or a separate part of her that's not really connected to her?
I think it's just a backpack full of rocks that she's carrying around, Like, it's still Lauren, but it's just she's got all these rocks in her backpack, and it's just weighing her down, and it's just kind of hard for her to walk sometimes, and most of the time that's actually making her stronger.
It just means that I'm listening to more people in my head and more internal dialogues than a normal person would have to listen to.
I think one of the misconceptions is that people who have different personalities might be violent sometimes.
Right, yeah, and that's definitely something that is a worry, that can be a worry. But the reason that we go and get our therapy and get the things that we do is so that doesn't happen. And we're working really hard to be people of society that would never hurt anybody.
I know who she is either way. So if she's acting like someone she's not, then I still know she's really in there. And you just gotta, like if she's having a panic attack or something, just like scratch her back, sing to her a little bit, and she gets out of it.
Would it bother you if I was thinking, I wonder what she's thinking?
Yeah.
Does that bother you?
It doesn't really bother me. I actually like when people ask what I'm thinking. It's when people take an interest in the fact that there are voices in my head, it doesn't bother me at all. It really is, it just feels like someone's taking an interest in what my life is, and it just means something that people would even care to ask.
Do you know the 12 fragments of her personality?
She describes very different versions to me, and
He knows the one. There's the one that sounds a little bit like Schmeagol, like from Lord of the Rings, and so I tell him about that one a lot.
Yeah.
Because that one kind of like is like the bad one, and he tells pulls my anxiety a little bit.
Where's that line between this voice is being a pest and this voice is a part of me?
Right. So, I still have to accept that it's a part of me, but when somebody's trying to cause havoc to the rest of the system, I've got to kind of sit that person down and give them a timeout, be like, you can't help right now because you're not being helpful.
And the system is you.
Right, yeah, the system is me. That's what I call all of my voices a lot of the time is my system. And that's kind of what my therapist has taught me to call it, is just these are the system of voices that all make up your inner dialogue. So my inner dialogue just is fragmented into different sections, and I just hear it in different ways.
Do the different fragments have different voices?
Yes. Some of them sound very different, and some of them sound a little bit similar. A couple of them sound like my regular dialogue. But one of them sounds like Schmeagol from Lord of the Rings, and it only sounds like that, right? It's like I call that one the monster voice, because the monster voice changes. Like, say I watch another movie and like I'm hear another voice, then that one can kind of take on that voice. And to do things like this, like to decide to do an interview like this that's gonna make me nervous, kind of everybody has to vote yes. So definitely, like in situations like this that I want to be in, that I chose to be in, everybody's there, everybody's present, you know, nobody's mad about it, everybody's trying to help the system explain the best that we can.
So why do you think all of these different, would it be correct to say aspects of your personality? Mm-hmm. Why did all these aspects of your personality agree to do this?
I think because they all want other people to understand that we're not that different, you know, and that disorders and diagnosis can come in all different shapes and sizes, and that you should recognize that, you know, in your everyday life, and that everybody has a backstory. My relationships would fail a lot because you know, friends, family, and anything, because people would be like, you're acting different, you know, you're a different person. That was very frustrating for a very long time, because I was still the same person. It was just that I was listening to these different segments of myself that are all me, but are, you know, have different experiences and different memories.
I was never like mad at her about it. I was just kind of didn't understand, you know? And when you don't understand and you're scared because someone else is going through something, it's kind of, I don't know, it's, in a way, it's frightening for you too, but you just have to realize that she's the one who needs help now.
That's nerve-wracking to tell somebody that you love, because they can have a different opinion, you know, and you want them to believe with you. You want them to be on your side, and he totally was, you know, he totally was like, this is what you have, and I'm glad that you figured it out. But it was nerve-wracking to tell him at first. It's nerve-wracking to admit.
When she learned that about herself, I could tell that she was anxious and stuff, and she didn't want to really come out and tell me. First off, she kind of was dealing with that herself, and I saw that. But at the same time, she came out and she told me, and it really wasn't like a, oh my God,
it's hard to finally admit. It's hard to finally admit that you know what's wrong with you and that you believe that diagnosis, you know, especially with mental illness, is that, you know, this is what I have, and I believe that too. And that's a lot. That's a big step. And, you know, telling him was really the, like, final defining step, you know, that, like, okay, I've accepted it. This is what I have.
If someone wants to form a friendship with you, what do you recommend they do?
Just understand that there are different parts of me, but they're all me, and I'll be, you know, I'll be the same person that you see a lot of different times, but I have a lot of different moods.
So you've told me that you have these different fragments, different voices, could I call it that? Mm-hmm. So as I'm talking to you, is there any way I should talk to you differently? Is there anything I should do different?
No, the best thing is that you're just comfortable talking to me, and that the more that you know, you're not putting your prejudices or anything like on another person, is that's when people start to get anxious, is that they start to feel like you're judging them based on maybe your other perceptions of different people with the same thing, because everybody's a little bit different, you know? And so you just have to understand that you don't know what they're going through, you know? You have no idea what's going on in their head, and you shouldn't be cautious or anything of what you're saying, because those people want to be normal, you know? Like, we want to be treated as normal.
How would you explain the psychology of why this happened to your personality?
Basically, when I was younger, probably between first and second grade, something traumatic happened to me, or a major point of invalidation or a traumatic event, something that I can't remember, that happened and blocked out my memory and created a new fragment. And that was the first time that I created a new fragment. And then from then on, to survive in different situations, I just created a new fragment, because that was my way of survival. Seeking help with a therapist is not the end of the world, you know? Like, a therapist can really be somebody that's reliable and your friend and there for you and your advocate. And it's really not, you know, it's not as big of a deal as you think it would be. And if a therapy is gonna help you, I would go to therapy.
Are the voices ever silent?
Sometimes like they're taking a nap, kind of, it feels like. And you know, like sometimes they like take a little break, but there's never a point where they're all silent.
Thank you for watching. Make sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and turn on notifications to help SBSK grow and show the world that we all deserve acceptance and a little bit of understanding. See you next time.
Do the voices ever chime in when you don't want them to?
Yes. A lot of the times they can't control like my voice. Like they can't chime in through my voice, but they can chime in my head. If it gets really bad, sometimes I'll like outburst random like things that seem like random outbursts, but it's somebody else like saying it in my head. That doesn't happen that often, but it can happen to other people that have this a lot more, just because it all depends on how much of in control you are and how your system works.